Good afternoon, friends. I welcome you all for the international webinar series eForensics 2020. Friends, we have got a very overwhelming response from your side, and we have got more than 1,300 registrations around the globe. So, in these 1,300, we have seven different countries, and in India, we could get participants from 26 different states. The best thing about this webinar is that we could connect forensic science personnel from various forensic science laboratory, including Central Forensic Science Laboratory, Directorate of Forensic Science Services, New Delhi. We are personnel from law enforcement agencies. We have law practitioners. We have personnel from various academic background, maybe from forensic science and computer science, and also from electronics and electrical engineering. So this has become a great platform to discuss something which is very important in this pandemic. So friends, we have seen that in this pandemic, we are forced to work on e-platforms. And you might have also heard that there are lots of attacks which has been done on various systems, servers. There are lots of fake news, misinformations around us. So we need to discuss on something which is the problem of law enforcement agencies. And that's why research is important. And that's why the topic of today's webinar is current and future research trends in digital forensics. So friends, today we have with us in panel Dr. S.M. Deshpande, who is the director of our institute, which is Government Institute of Forensic Science, Aurangabad. And speaker of the day is Dr. Gaurav Gupta, who is Scientist E and Additional Director in Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India. So I would request Dr. S.M. Deshpande, sir, Director of the Institute, to say a few words regarding this webinar.
Sir. Thank you, Dr. Rajesh. On the occasion of international webinar on current and future research trends in digital forensics, good afternoon to one and all. We are aware that forensic science in general and digital forensics branch is a particular proving its importance in the combating crimes even in this COVID-19 situation. We know that every component of criminal justice system is contributing to fight against increasing and innovative types of crime. It is often responsibility of academicians, scientists from forensic laboratories, law practitioners, police officers, students to develop research in this field, carry out the research, and come up with the solutions which are very essential in this situation. I have opportunity as a director to give brief introduction about our institute. We are the Government Institute of Forensic Science, Aurangabad, were started in 2009 with a special government resolution of Government of Maharashtra. Our institute is totally under the aegis of Government of Maharashtra and aided by Government of Maharashtra. Since journey of last 11 years, we have established the state-of-art laboratories in forensic science. We have very good infrastructure as well as the disciplines we have carried out in this institute, which are very essential today. So, considering the academic excellence and commitment for helping the stakeholders, the Government of Maharashtra has recommended us to be a center of excellence in forensic science in collaboration with CIC London under UKD program in 2015. As concerned to the academic curriculum of this our institute, it is a world class definitely, where students get give more focus on the practical exposure to the students. We have all major instruments available in our forensic laboratories, and I especially mention here the Government Institute of Forensic Science. We have very close structure. If you think about our BSc fee structure, BSc and MSc students can complete within only 6,000 rupees, and we have PG diplomas also there in the branch, that is PG diploma in forensic science and digital forensic programs. That also students can complete it in rupees 6,000. As well as we understand the demand of our stakeholders, thus working in the collaboration with them, let it be a police officer as well as forensic laboratory scientists. As concerned to today's situation, we have trained more than 10,000 police personnel and guided them to solve more than 500 cases. I know that in this webinar, there are so many, near about 13,000 uh, uh, students as well as the various peoples have registered. So definitely it will be helpful to the forensic laboratories, cyber cells, law practitioners, as well as private agencies. I urge you all to feel free and contact us at any time for your feedback and suggestions. I hope in the age of COVID-19 pandemic situation, the webinar and its topic is totally relevant for progress of humankind. The participants will definitely get benefited from the deliberation given by Dr. Gaurav Gupta, who is an eminent digital forensic expert of the country. I congratulate the head of department, Dr. Rajesh Kumar, and his team for organizing such an event with a large participation. Finally, I wish this webinar as a grand success. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, sir. So now let me introduce our speaker of the day, Dr. Gaurav Gupta. Dr. Gaurav Gupta is working as scientist in Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India. Earlier, he has worked as assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at IIIT Delhi. He received his PhD in Computer Science and Engineering from Jadavpur University, Kolkata. Before joining IIIT Delhi, he has worked in KPMG in their advisory services as assistant manager. His research interests include digitized document frauds, cloud forensic, document integrity establishment. For his contribution in digital forensics, Dr. Gupta received Meritorious Young Scientist Award in Indian Science Congress in 2010, and it was conferred through the hand of our beloved President, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. So, with this introduction, you can see that Dr. Gaurav Gupta has a vast experience of academics, industry, and now he is in policy making. So, I would request Dr. Gaurav Gupta, sir, to start with his deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you for the introduction. I'll directly start with the talk which I have, the topic which has been chosen today, which is current and future trends in digital forensic research. Sharing my screen, and let me know if it is fine.
Yes, sir, we can see it.
Okay, so that I'm aware, and I assume that most of you are aware about digital forensics. You know what is digital forensics, and I will take you through the journey of digital forensics, how it became standard, and when did it how it is gaining, and I will take you through the journey of digital forensic evolution of research. How the research is shaping up in this area. So if we start, when how it all started. So in 2001, digital forensic standard definition was coined in DFRWS. So it is very, very naive and very, very young field. So before 2001, there were bits and pieces of digital forensic which was happening around the world, but there was no standard definition. People were calling it with various names, starting from computer forensics to software forensics to various other definitions. Also in 2001, for the first time, when DFRWS group met, They wanted a common definition and a roadmap which can be used to drive research in the area of digital forensics. Because without research, there is a very difficult scenario in front of practitioners, because everybody will do using their own way. And if it is non-standard way of doing things, then it will be very, very difficult in court of law to prove things. So that's where in 2001, this is the first fact which I just thought I would like to highlight, that in 2001 only this field became standard, and practitioners started to collaborate with each other. And from 2001 to 2010, this was the time when I was also pursuing my doctoral research work. That was the golden era of digital forensics. Whatever was happening during that time, it was easy, it was scientific, and it was one way development by the digital forensic community to prove to investigate computer frauds and cyber crimes. And criminals were not very aware. There were not a lot of effort from criminal side in terms of anti forensics. So 2001 to 2010 was the era where, whatever problem you took, there were easy solutions to be found. Those easy solutions worked perfectly all right, and criminals were not aware about these solutions. So this was the golden era. From 2010 to 2020, when the generational change took place, and next generation which grew up with technology became adult, and fraudster also who were doing frauds from 2010 to 2020, they knew technology much more than the previous generation, and hence they started identifying how law enforcement agencies and forensic scientists investigate. So they started taking precautions. They started doing anti-forensic stuff. They started taking care that evidences are not left, or if evidences are left, they are not very easy to find. So that was the era which is right now going on in this decade, 2010 to 2020. Digital forensic community faced a lot of challenges, and those challenges grew by leaps and bounds. And today we find ourselves at a juncture where digital forensic challenges are overwhelming digital forensic community, and the need of the hour is to do something about it, do research in the area of digital forensics to find the golden era of digital forensics again. So what I can foresee is that next 10 years, 2021 to 2030, because 2020 is almost half over, next 10 years, there are ample number of research opportunities in the era, in the domain of digital forensics, which should be taken up to make sure that digital forensics becomes more mature. Law enforcement finds it easy to investigate cases, conviction is improved, and the tools and technology developed by digital forensic scientists can sustain the rigorous deterrence which has been posed by the criminals of the modern era. So that is the overall objective of my talk today. So why digital forensic crimes are happening, why or digital how digital forensic is working. Basically, why digital forensic works, the reason is, if people develop perfect tools, then digital forensics would be very, very difficult. So if I make a let's say, in the olden era, if somebody made a perfect typewriter which will not have any defects, then finding out which typewriter has been used to type a letter will be very, very difficult. Similarly, if printers and scanners are made perfect, then finding out whether a document has been printed by a particular printer or a scanner would be very, very difficult. But the problem is, in that case, the cost of the device, let's say the printer and scanner, will be enormously high. So the printer and scanner which you get today in 5,000 rupees, to 10,000, 20,000 rupees, if you have to make it perfect so that there are no defects, and the digital forensics can't be done, in that case, the cost of printer or the scanner will shoot up in few lakh rupees. So the idea is, since user wants convenience, development time for most of the product is very short, because competitors are also launching products. We want product to be very, very cost effective. The cost has to be low. these are the initial three things which drive digital forensics, because most of the people have to produce a product which is convenient to use, which provides user a lot of assistance. For example, in browser, you can remember the password. Since you can remember the password, that's where people can recover, the forensic scientists can recover the password. So anything and everything which is developed to make user experience more convenient provides opportunity for the forensic scientists to develop solutions to extract some information which can be used in a forensically sound manner in court of law. So these are the reasons why digital forensic works. So if development time was enough and cost was not supposed to be low, and user convenience was not an important criteria, then you can make products where forensic investigation would be very, very difficult. One more thing is, which is very important to note, which I think is slowly gaining ground, that is how the brain evolves. Our brain has evolved over a period of time, and technology is very, very new. So we are not used to, our brain has only seen digital technology in last few generations. Before that, thousands of generation has not seen technology, and hence the brain which we are using today has some of its evolution which has come from the generation which has not seen technology. So human brain does not evolve very fast, and that's where gap in terms of our processing of technology versus actual technology, the gap exists, and that gap is being exploited by criminals to do frauds. Similarly, same gap can be actually used by forensic scientists, forensic researchers, and law enforcement agencies to develop solutions which can work against criminals in terms of garnering evidence. So we will see how that can be done. So, when I was talking about in the initial slide that, this talk is primarily focused on how to use research and what area to carry out research so that it could be effective in terms of solving cases, in terms of law enforcement community, and in terms of forensic science community. So, one fundamental problem which I've seen among researchers is they see digital forensic research as an application of a tool which they know, and they try to solve a problem through that. For example, I've got many students who meet me and they ask me, I want to do a project, or I want to solve a problem using artificial intelligence and machine learning in the area of digital forensics. So they're not bothered about the problem. They're bothered about that they want to use artificial intelligence and machine learning. They want to use a particular programming language. They want to say, okay, I want to use Python because I know Python. They will say that, okay, I want to do it on iOS, or I want to do it on Android. So one important thing when a researcher is carrying out research in the area of digital forensics is, or any other area is, you should not be influenced by the tools. You should be influenced by the open problems. So you should find a problem, and if the problem demands machine learning and AI to be used, then definitely use it. But not all problems require AI and machine learning to be used. At times, you can simply use statistics to solve a problem. So that's a myth that you have to use a particular, because everybody using artificial intelligence and machine learning, that's where you have to use it. I think that's a myth, and we should restrain ourselves in terms of getting bogged down by the buzzwords. We should rather think about the requirements of a problem statement, and I will come to that in the slides which will follow. So let's say, if the typical question which most people will have in mind is, okay, I want to do research in the area of digital forensics. Now, how do I select a problem? How do I know whether this problem is good problem? How do I know whether this can be solved or not? How do I know whether this problem will, once I solve it, will be taken up by the community and the law enforcement agencies in the practical world or not? So these are some of the questions which most people have when they have to start their research, and they find it challenging to answer these questions. So I just thought I will, start by answering these questions first. So ideally, your research problem should be selected based on, one or more of the points which I'm right now discussing in the slide, that it should have a high impact. High impact means that it should be troubling many people. So it is a problem which most people are facing today, and there is no solution which exists. For example, let's say mobile forensics. So in case of mobile forensics, if you talk to any practitioner today on ground, including law enforcement and forensic scientists, the biggest problem they face is the phones are locked, They have a PIN password or an encryption technology or a pattern lock which is there, and most of the tools cannot bypass it. Because we have phones have data, and data is stored behind a layer which is either encryption or a PIN or a password or a pattern lock, which we need to bypass to go to data. So this is a problem which today is very, very relevant. Most people face this. 80 to 90% of the cases involve some kind of mobile device in question. And out of 80 to 90% mobile phones, 70 to 80% mobile phone PIN and password or the encryption bypass is not possible, because criminals are also very smart. They use latest of the phone, knowing that law enforcement may not be having a key to bypass it, a way to break the encryption. So this is something which is important. So a problem statement which is impacting a lot of people and there is no solution which is available today should be taken up as a problem statement for doing research. The problem which you are taking up should be very generic in nature. It should not happen that, okay, I can only solve a problem for a particular version of Android, for a particular model, make and model of a company and a particular handset, because then that will be very, very limiting. So your problem has to be scalable and your solution has to be generic so that it can be used by the community easily. So instead of doing it for a particular OS version number or a particular hardware mobile device, you should do it in terms of generic. That is something which is important when you are doing the research. It should have least number of dependencies and least amount of integration required. Again, most of the time when I discuss with students who are doing research, most of the time they have a solution, but that solution requires a lot of dependencies. So there are multiple ifs. If this is the case, then my solution will work. So ideally, you should try to identify dependencies and reduce and develop a solution which is not dependent on certain dependencies, and it does not require lot of changes while carrying out investigation. So the integration or the solution should work seamlessly with the existing infrastructure, and hence it will be easy to adopt by law enforcement agencies. If it requires a lot of changes into their infrastructure, if it requires a lot of changes in the way investigation is done, and it requires a lot of cost to replace the hardware and the software and the systems, in that case the solution will not be very scalable, will not be very easy to be used by most of the people. So one way to do is you do disruptive research work. So, rather than doing the incremental research work where you are just changing something to make it more powerful or to remove some dependencies, you find a new way of doing it. For example, again, in case of mobile device, since data is there onto the storage device and you have one layer of deterrence, which is your PIN or the pattern lock, one way is if you see a different attack vector. Instead of going through OS, if you directly try to go to data, for example, the latest mobile phones use PDP-3 protocol, power delivery protocol, because we are using USB 3.0. In that case, because this is a protocol where the power, because that USB 3 can be interchangeably used with multiple hardware devices, there is a power delivery protocol which interacts when I connect my phone with the power source. In that case, there is a discussion between my power, the cord which I am attaching to the phone, and the phone hardware to understand what kind of power requirements are there. So that means there is a new attack vector through which you can exploit the PDP protocol and directly access data, bypassing the OS of the phone. So in a problem where you are completely disrupting and using a very new attack vector to solve it, there are higher chances that you will have a very disruptive and very scalable, very generic solution. And that's where you can have more value to your research. If there are any questions, Rajesh, I think you can keep a tab and let me know. Okay, so I'll move forward. So, again, I will talk something generic. What is the current trend? In last 10 years, we have seen two kinds of crime, basically. One was where we are using digital technology in conventional crime. Starting early 2001 to 2005, cyber crimes were less. It were more of computer frauds. People were using scanners and printers to make counterfeit document. People were changing date and timestamps to do timestamp frauds. Then a lot of steganography related work which was done in the early 2001 to 2005 2006 kind of thing. Cyber terrorism is common, and people keep doing cyber terrorism act because technology provides them easy way to connect to various things. IT Act came into picture in early 2000. So these were the some of the things which we have on our hand, where current trend was initially of using technology to do conventional crimes has now moved on to perfectly new form of crimes which were not possible if digital technology was not there. So today we have all kinds of digital payment mediums and people are doing frauds there. We use multiple kinds of QR codes to do transactions. People can change those QR codes. People can then misuse the payment apps. Then there are supply chain, which is completely dependent on digital technology. People are exploiting supply chain and doing digital technological frauds. So digital technological frauds are seeing a radical shift initially where technology was being used to do conventional crime to now where we are doing completely new digital crime. And that's where I think new research needs to be done. So if we just go into anatomy of computer frauds and cybercrime, which is like, what all things are involved, we have certain motivation for criminals. We have certain entities which are involved in the crime. We have certain events which either could be malicious or which are non-malicious. And if they are malicious events, we have to find out what are those malicious events and how to identify those malicious events. And finally, we have impact. So this is the complete anatomy of any crime which is happening in the digital world. Somebody will have a motivation to do a crime. It will impact by his actions or by some events which they will do. It will impact some of the entities in digital and non-digital world, and it will have some impacts. So if we can study all these things about a crime, then we can better understand what are the aspects of computer fraud and cybercrime which needs research, where we can come in and make a contribution to stop computer fraud and a cybercrime. So motivations are obvious, right? Money, which is the biggest motivation. That's where the BFSI, banking and financial frauds happen. Revenge. This is also new because people plant evidences to implicate someone else. Terrorism is obvious, which most of us know. Then we have a new form of motivation, which was not there in the physical world. Criminal activities which were taking place before 2001. Which is intellectual satisfaction, adventure, sense of feel of achievement. A young teenager, hacking into the server of a technology firm or a NASA or something like that, where he want to show off that he can hack. So it is basically a new motivation which was not there in the previous generations. This is something new, and this needs to be tackled in a different way. Infancy of digital forensics, as we discussed, 2001 only digital forensics came, and we are still catching up in terms of developing solution. Our laws are also catching up because law changes are slow compared to technological changes which are very, very fast. So if you see, let's say most of us in my generation who got their first mobile phone in 2001, it took 5 to 7 years to change a mobile phone. So still my average of changing my mobile phone, my mobile device hardware is approximately 3 to 5 years. Whereas every 6 months there is a new and very advanced model of a mobile phone is launched. So today people, the current generation people at times are changing mobile phones every 6 months to a year or less than that, because you're getting much improved hardware and lot of new features and lot of new sensors integrated into the mobile device, which was not there earlier. Earlier, devices were changing at a very, very slow pace. So laws are still changing slow, but technology is changing very fast, which at times creates a gap, which is very difficult to fill. In case of digital world, one more thing which happens, which is very interesting to explore, is there is less guilt and less chances of being caught, because I'm doing crime sitting at home. And if I'm doing a crime which is a heinous crime, let's say if I'm murdering somebody by hacking into a hospital system by changing the doses of the drug, I'm not seeing that person die in front of me. So it is much less, I feel less guilt compared to if I go and murder somebody using a weapon like a gun or a knife. So less guilt because virtual nature of committing crime. And since since laws and forensic tools, technology, methodologies are slow and conviction is less, people think that they have less chance of being caught. At times they are not aware what technologies are there using which it can be easily proved that who has done the crime. But still, people somehow feel in digital world that nobody is seeing them. Whatever crime they are doing, it's very difficult for somebody to find out who has done it. It is less investment, and because you have to, for doing a crime digital world, you only require a laptop and an internet connection, nothing more than that. So it is very very low investment kind of a method of doing crime. So people assume this is low risk high gain method, and we that is where we need to make a contribution. As a digital forensic researcher, I have to make it high risk and low gain method. I have to develop solutions which are very fast, which can investigate by capturing the very, very fragile, very mutable digital evidence in very less amount of time, so that I can take up those cases to the court of law very easily and can prove it, so that the misconception which criminals have that it is low risk, high gain method, we have to convert it to high risk, low gain method. That should be our objective while doing the research. So as we discussed, I have certain motivations, but then I have certain entities. When somebody is doing a crime, he's doing a crime from some source, let's say mobile phone or a laptop. Then he has a target where he's attacking. He has intermediate nodes, servers and routers and intermediate hardware through which he's connecting from source to the target. And there is a crime scene. In this case, the crime scene could be virtual. The crime scene could be, whole of the world. Let's say if I'm just sending a phishing email, I may be sitting in Kenya, and then that case source is a laptop in Kenya, and target could be all the people, thousands of people all over the world, and the intermediate could be my server in Kenya and the mail server which is there probably in US and other places, which is then sending out these emails to target. So crime scene could be everywhere. This is something which is different than the conventional world. So where all we can get evidences, we can get evidences on source. We can try to come back from target and try to find out, how the mails have traveled, what service has been used, what are the signatures of the traversal path which the packets have taken place, and so on. So when in criminal activity is being done, when any activity is being done, when any event is taking place, it can be categorized either into an unauthorized connection, that I'm connecting to some computer which I'm not supposed to. I'm stealing stealing some information. I'm tampering or destroying some data. I'm planting evidence to implicate someone else, or else I'm just causing denial of service by sending out thousands of requests or thousands of packets to a particular target, or I'm initiating a terrorist activity. So this is not an exhaustive list. This is only the tentative initial list. Then these are some of the events which have taken place, and these events actually will give you the way to generate evidences. For example, if I'm doing an unauthorized connection, in that case, the evidences are that on the target machine where I'm doing unauthorized connection, there has to be a tool which I have uploaded or downloaded through which I'm trying to connect. There are logs of who all tried to connect, what all scans took place, which port was used to connect to the computer. So event will tell you what all possible places evidence could be. So whenever you are doing a research, you need to find out whenever any activity, whether it's malicious or non-malicious, which is happening, what are the events which are taking place and what are the entities which are involved, because these entities and events only will provide you the possible evidences. Impacts, again, these are, I think, easy to guess. Impact, because people are having motivation about money, so there will be loss of money, loss of time, loss of reputation. So these days, at times state and non-state actors and the corporates, the rival corporates, are engaging people who are expert in carrying out cyber attacks, not only to gain money, but at times they want to destroy the reputation. For example, if the reputation of a bank, there is an attack on the bank and the people are scared to deposit money in that bank, and they start to withdraw the money from the bank can collapse in a day. So if there is a bad reputation, then that reputation can kill the business today in digital world, because the virality of information is so fast. Before somebody can react, and there are a lot of fake news and a lot of virality aspect about news which exist on the social media, can ruin the complete businesses if reputations are attacked. Denial of service is very common. Most people know. Mental harassment, starting from cyberbullying to all sort of cyber communication which is happening, can be used to harass somebody in the digital world, starting from making a fake profile to cyberbullying to stealing of the information to posting objectionable photographs and videos about a person, either genuine or morphed or without consent. All these could cause huge amount of mental harassment to many people, and solutions which can actually assess whether the data which has been posted about a person, whether it's genuine or fake, tools in that category could be the need of the hour. Then there are impacts on economy, which is again very well understood and documented. I will not go in detail in that case. So what we have seen is that there is anatomy of a computer fraud and cybercrime, which means there are motivations, and those motivations are carried out by certain events which impact certain entities, resulting into certain impacts. So these are the 4 points where you have to put in place a solution that which can identify who is motivated into attacking a particular thing. So that's where one research point will come out. You have to find out what events they can do which are malicious and how to control them and how to investigate them. That could be the research point. Then what are the impacts and how to minimize the impact of an activity which is going wrong, which is malicious. That could be also the intervention point where research can be done. Understanding anatomy will provide you a very easy way of dissecting a problem which you are trying to solve, and the points where you can put your solution, place your solution, and what are the possible evidences which you can get. Let's take an example. For example, if somebody is making a counterfeit document by scanning and printing, right? So I know motivation is a counterfeit document. So which means now I need to know what a counterfeit document, how a counterfeit document will be different than the original document. And we all know about Lookart's principle, which says that every contact leaves a trace. So when I'm making a counterfeit document, I have to scan the original document, make some changes, and then print it. Which means the counterfeit document has come into contact of a printer and a scanner before it has been produced. That means if I look for information exchange of scanner and printer in the final counterfeit document, that can help me find out evidences. How do I do it? Let's say if I take a counterfeit document, which if I'm presented a document which could be counterfeit, if I see the document in high resolution by magnifying it, I will get a lot of noise which is coming because of scanner and printer which has been used in making this document, which is a counterfeit document. If it is not a counterfeit document, then that noise of scanner and the printer will be negligible, and it will be the color purity will be very, very high. But otherwise, because Locard's principle says that the counterfeit document is produced through a printer and printer and scanner is bound to put its noise into a document, and that could be your starting point of research. So any problem statement, if you understand well and you know what are the entities involved, in this case printer and scanner is involved, those are the points from where you will start finding out evidences, and then you will try to automate it. Once I know that there is a noise, now what I can do, I can write algorithms using image processing to process this noise and give a meaningful outcome which is scientifically converted to some numbers which can be used as a report in court of law. So that is how the research progresses forward. You need to know the problem statement, and that problem statement needs to be dissected, keeping in mind the anatomy of computer frauds and cybercrime. And then in light of Locard's information exchange principle, you have to develop solutions which can be quantification of these noises. So basically, my digital forensic research solution is nothing but quantification of any change which has taken place because of a malicious activity. So I'll repeat it. This is very, very important. So my digital forensic research and digital forensic evidence is nothing but a method which can quantify any of this change which has come because of the malicious event. That is my digital forensic evidence. So this is how you go about solving a research problem. So, what are the challenges today, which, as I told that, we are facing a lot of challenges from 2010 to 2020, because criminals now know technology. They are the next generation people who have seen technology in great detail. They are the people who understand technology, and they try to now make sure that technology is used for their benefit rather than law enforcement benefit. So first is, if you see, the first hard disk of my computer was in MBs. So my first hard disk was 100 MB in my computer, and over a period of time from 2001 to 2010, the hard disk size has physical size has not shrank, but number of amount of information which you can store has increased multifold. Right. So if you see a hard disk, which is typically into your desktops, size has not changed, but the density of information has increased. Cost has gone down. So earlier, for 1 GB hard drive, if I was paying 5,000 rupees, today I am paying 3,000 rupees for, let's say, a 100 DB, 1 TB hard drive. So my cost of data storage has come down drastically. But if you see in a particular case, amount of information which is an evidence is almost same. So if in 2005, in a 1 GB hard drive, if 100 files were evidence, today in 1 TB hard disk, again for same kind of crime, my files are almost 100 files which are used as evidence. But those 100 files now I have to find from billions of files, where earlier it was only millions of files, because my data storage capabilities have increased at lower cost. So what happens is, the hard disk which I could imagine 4 to 5 hours earlier, even though my hardware technology has improved today, because the hard disk size is 1 TB, 2 TB, and 4 TB, imaging take 8 to 10 hours or 20 hours. So what has happened is, time taken to investigate the same case is becoming larger and larger, whereas my hardware capabilities and my technologies are improving. So this is something which we need to take into account. This is one of the challenge. How do we bring down the efficiency of digital forensic investigation? How do we bring down the total amount of time taken to investigate a case? In this direction, a lot of research is not being done. We are solving problems, but we are not improving efficiency. We are only improving efficiency by bringing in faster hardware, but we need to also improve the efficiency by bringing in new form of technology, new form of algorithms, which can cut down on investigation time. This is one problem which I have observed in last 10-15 years of my research. There are certain cases which are non-solvable. There are 60 to 70% cases which we can solve. 30 to 40% cases we say are non-solvable. We don't have currently the methodologies or the hardware to solve a particular case. For example, a completely damaged hard drive. Let's say if a phone or a computer was extracted from the seabed in few years, we don't have any commercial very easy system or a solution which can be used to solve these kind of cases. So one probable point for starting digital forensic research for the budding and young researcher is, find out from forensic labs and from the practitioners what is that they are not able to solve today, and that could be the very good starting point, and that will probably also match all the conditions which I laid down initially, that it will have scale, it will have high impact, because those cases are not solvable today. Then one more thing which is happening today, which is proactiveness of digital forensics. Earlier we only had proactive security, but can we do something for, again, keeping in mind the unsolvable cases? Can we do something about digital forensic tools, that whatever we are not able to solve, we go back to my security solutions and enhance them in a way so that tomorrow if similar case happens, I am able to solve it. So if you take example, again, the first ATM which I saw in 2001, it did not have a CCTV camera, because ATM was to dispense money, but then people started doing frauds. They put a CCTV camera which could not solve or which could not stop a crime, because CCTV camera will only record, right? If you're doing something wrong in the ATM machine, it will only have the video footage. And that is still the case, right? Today, ATMs have CCTV camera, but they are not helping in terms of they can only be used to find out who did the crime, and people might be smart, they might be putting helmet on, putting mask. Now because of the pandemic, everybody will go with the mask, and face detection and recognition will be very difficult. But what if we process the video which is being recorded by the CCTV camera in real time? Let's say if two people go to ATM machine, and let's say one of them is carrying a gun or a knife. Right now the camera is only recording it, but what if it can detect the video in real world, in real time, and can detect there is a gun or a knife with one person, and can block the ATM machine, because carrying a weapon inside the ATM is not allowed. So we need to find out whatever existing security solutions we have, how can we empower them to be more proactive, right? So ATM has cameras since ages, but it has not been used to stop the crime. It is only used to investigate the crime. So we should move ahead and do that. Again, as we all know, digital forensic tools are very, very costly. Indigenization has not happened as much as it should have been. So this is one more area where, if we start to develop indigenous tools with the disruptive technologies. So I'm not asking researchers to just imitate the tools which are there currently by the companies worldwide. I'm saying, think about what will change going forward in the digital forensic era. How will the phones change? How will the storage technology change? And how can you develop the new era, new age solutions which you start today and which you solve in next 6 months? By the time new technologies are adopted, how you can have new disruptive new solution which can then take on to the market. So you don't copy the tools, you don't make the replicas of the tools, you see in the future what is going to come and solve a new problem. And by the time you solve it, the technology will be used by the most of the people, and your tool and technology will be used by most of the law enforcement and the forensic community. And that is how you develop indigenous tools, keeping in mind targets for the future. Uh, so these are some of the things which I thought are the challenges. Challenges keeps changing. One of the challenges is technological changes. Technology is changing very, very fast. So fast that at times we are not able to, solve the problems. And by the time we are able to solve the problem, technology changes. For example, if you see people 5 year back, people were solving problems when we had feature phones. We did not have widespread mobile, let's say smartphones. People were solving problems using cell tower information. Then we had the widespread usage of GPS. So what happens is technological changes makes problems obsolete at times. Today we have a lot of sensors in my mobile phone, right? Can mobile sensor be used to develop the signature of the activity of a person? For example, if can we develop something using sensors of my mobile phone, so that my mobile phone knows that it is in my hand? If anyone else picks up my mobile phone, using the sensor readings or the model which you are making from the sensor, phone can decide whether it is in the right hand or the wrong hand. If somebody starts to take your phone and walk away, and if the phone is able to identify it is not you, it can raise alarm, it can lock everything, it can send out SOS messages. So can we use these kind of things? Because these are the things which are going to be used widespread going forward. So phones are having sensors. All those sensors are, gold mine for digital forensic researchers. That should be mined to develop new solutions for digital forensics as well as security. Okay, so I'm now going to list some of the open problems which many people are right now working, or they will become bigger problems going forward. So most of us know, earlier people used to make morphed photos or morphed videos. My face has been taken and somebody's body is taken and mixed together, and so on. So this was what was happening earlier. But today people have moved forward. We have high-end computing power and machines, hardware, and then we are having artificial intelligence and machine learning, and we are having GAN kind of systems where we can learn and can generate something which is completely new. So if you go to this website which says that this person does not exist.com, it displays faces of the people who actually does not exist in this world. It is completely new and generated using artificial intelligence. So morphed versus non-existent artificially generated image. These two are different problem statements and they will grow further. So what can we do about finding out fake videos, fake photos, which has been generated by technology? And using these kind of fake videos and photos, people will have fake news. Fake documents is widespread. NFC based fraud. This is new. I have a credit card which can be, which has NFC, near field communication capabilities. I have a car which has a, key fob or the remote of the car, which is working on NFC technology. So what happens is, if I want to tap my card instead of just typing pin and doing touch based transaction, I want to do a touchless transaction. This is basically touchless, right? I take my credit card and tap it near to the POS device and automatically transaction happens. Banks have now limited, let's say up to 2000 rupees only it is possible. But what if it higher amount of transactions are enabled and you are carrying your card in your pocket and somebody has a POS machine and just taps your pocket from behind in the crowded place, transaction is done. You will never know about it. You come back home, you park your car and you put your key fob onto the key holder, which is typically at the entrance of the door. Now what people can do is, since it is constantly transmitting information, people can record it and replay it using two mobile devices, one person standing at your doorstep, one person standing near to your car, and this can be used to relay. So a new generation of NFC based crimes are happening. And as we move forward, my IoT device and near field communication device, these will become the norms of the day, and they will be low resource, low power, low computing devices. That means lot of frauds will happen exploiting these kind of technologies. So this is something for the researchers or the next generation to take up, identify and anticipate what kind of frauds which can happen in this area, and try to develop solutions, both security solution as well as forensic solutions around these upcoming new technologies. I've seen a case where a robotic arm, this is something which is available. There are robotic arms which can hold a pen, and you can train them to write. Now, what people have done is, people have trained them to write my writing. So, if let's say you have 10 pages of my things which I have written in past, and if you take that as a sample and give it to this algorithm, which is training the robotic arm, now this algorithm can learn from my past handwritings. It will take out all the primitive, the way I write, what I'm writing, how I'm connecting. And since you have given him sufficient 10, 20, 30, 50 pages of my previous handwriting, which is not very difficult to get about a person, that can be used to learn. And then you give a pen to this robotic arm and give a paper or a bank check or a stolen check of my account. In that case, this pen will write my signature or the text which I want to write in my handwriting, and it is not having any sign of a printer or a scanner. It is not a counterfeit document. So it is artificially intelligence has been used to learn the way I write, and then a robotic arm is writing for instead of me. So it is very, very difficult to find out who wrote it, and it will be done by a pen. So there will be no remnants of a scanner or a printer. So this is next generation fraud. Similarly, next generation audio and video fraud, where I learn from your past videos, I learn from your past audios and reproduce a new audio or a new video with new text or a new expression. So these are something which is happening and which will happen more and more going forward. And this is an area of research which people have to probably think of. One more problem statement which is interesting is, in olden days we had the original document and the copy of the document. But today, if I give you 10 files, if I give you one file and it is there on my computer, it is there on my pen drive, it is there on my email, and 10 different places, and if I ask you which is the original copy and which is the copy of the original, since it is all digital data, it is very difficult to tell. So there is no way you can tell what is the source, initial source, and what are the copies. And this is a problem statement which, if somebody can solve using some methodology, could be something which is very interesting. Digital imaging, when we talk about normal computer forensics, the first thing you have to do is, you can't work on original. You have to make bit by bit copy of all the data into the storage media to a different storage media, and this is known as imaging. But as I told you, initially it was 1 GB, 2 GB, 10 GB hard drives. Today we have 1 TB, 2 TB, 4 TB hard drives. Since, let's say if I ask you, most of us don't delete any data anymore. Reason is cost of data is less and I have sufficient amount of hard drive to store data. So in hard drives, even though I may be having a 2 TB hard drive, it is 80% filled. It will have multiple copies of the similar thing. So that means lot of unnecessary data which is there on my hard drive. When somebody, a computer forensic scientist or a law enforcement investigator has to make a copy or the image of a hard drive, it has to do multiple, it will take time because it has multiple copies of the same information. Can we do something instead of doing a selective imaging, which is not admissible in court of law? Can I do something which is intelligent imaging, where I make a copy which is reduced by 30 to 40% in size by doing some intelligence, by applying some intelligence about the copies of data and redundancy of data, but it still produces the complete hash. And if required, it can blow up the data to the original set, but it can reduce my space, it can reduce my communication channel bandwidth, it can improve my efficiency of doing investigation while preserving the admissibility aspects of the image. So this is again an open area of research. Device and person identification. How do you know whether which particular device has been used? Because as I discussed, all my devices are today loaded with sensors. So we have a lot of sensors, lot of personalization. So your hardware and software combination makes a device unique. Can we use this to identify device? Can we use it to identify the person who is using this device? So this kind of research again has a lot of potential because only limited amount of work has been done in this area. As I discuss about fake things, counterfeit is also very, very, fake and counterfeit are slightly different. In case of counterfeit, if you see drugs, products, voice, video, anything and everything is counterfeited. Anything which can be digitized today can be counterfeited and misused by, and this can actually have not only the impact in terms of loss of money and the loss of revenues, but also the reputation. And as I discussed, volume of data and cost of data is reducing, and it will keep on reducing, posing very serious challenge in terms of how fast can you process it. So this is one parallel area of research, that can you develop solution which can tackle large volume of data and can still produce result in less amount of time. And technology is changing fast, laws are adopting slow, because technology changes are not controlled by us. Technological changes are most of the time rivalry between companies. Let's say an Apple has launched a new phone, which means in next few months Samsung also has to launch a competitive phone which has almost similar kind of features. So this is a cutthroat competition among the corporates. That's where technological changes are so fast that forensic researcher has to keep pace. Not only they have to solve problems which are on hand, they have to anticipate what will come in future. What are the new things which have been developed in terms of storage and computing and sensors, and how will they come back in terms of the technological solutions. For example, I foresee that in within next 2 years, my phone will be a completely disintegrated device. It will not be a single piece of hardware. It will be disintegrated wearable device. So we need to start thinking about, if phone becomes a disintegrated wearable device, how my digital forensics will change. All the modern cars today come out with a GPS and an entertainment system. How do we extract data? Because if you have to do a crime, you can leave your phone back, but you will go in your car. So car probably is a potential source of lot of digital evidences which are otherwise not, people are not very comfortable with. So can we do digital forensics of entertainment system and the GPS and the car? And that will be something which is important. And that's where new things can be done about technology and can be harnessed for finding out new way of doing digital forensics. Also, how technological changes are happening. This is kind of a repetition of a slide. See, most of the technological changes are happening for convenience by convergence. So if you see, we had feature phones which were working fine. Why did smartphones came? Because they provided more convenience. Many more things got converged. Earlier, when I had a feature phone, I had a separate digital camera and a handy cam, because my quality of camera was very poor. So today, if I have a smartphone, I don't carry a separate handy cam or a digital cam, or for that matter, many more devices which were there. So once upon a time, 10 to 15 different digital devices people used to carry. Today, all of them has been integrated, converged into a one single device, and that is good for the forensic scientists, because my phone has all the sensors and all the integrations, which means there are chances that when I'm not doing activity using one sensor, still the data about other sensors are being recorded. So invariably, my phone will end up having some kind of evidences into the device. This PPFI is privacy preserving forensics. This is again gaining ground. Data protection laws around the world are shaping up, taking place. In Europe, we have a GDPR regime which is already there. So privacy of data becomes important. For example, today, if I'm working for a corporate and if I'm using my phone as bring your own device, my phone will have a lot of data which is personal to me. It will also have a lot of data about the corporate. So in case I am found or I am being investigated for something by the corporate, my privacy of private data, the personal data should be ensured. So forensic tools today do not at all take into consideration privacy aspect of the personal data. So as the laws are shaping up, tomorrow this will become a mandate by the law that privacy of the content which is not relevant for the case might be ensured by the investigators. So all the tools and the technology or the methodology which we have currently will face a very big challenge that these tools are not ensuring privacy. So we need to start thinking about this from today onwards, that how do we develop next generation digital forensic solution which can ensure the privacy of the data which is not related to the case, and automate investigation in a way that it will preserve privacy but find out evidence is much faster, much quicker, and with less human intervention in an automatic manner, but ensuring the completeness. So these are some of the things which I thought I'll discuss. One more point which I thought is we used to do chip offs to extract data from the devices, but these device manufacturers are making this chip off very complex, very dependent on the hardware. And going forward, because of the encryption and the resistance from the original equipment makers who are making these phones and the mobile devices and the laptops, doing chip off will become very difficult. We need to now find a disruptive new method of doing extracting data from these devices, which is completely radically different. It might be by using some kind of electromagnetic spectrum. It might be by doing some kind of sensor-based analysis of the underlying storage medias, and I don't know what. So this is something which I think is very difficult, but this is something which will be required by all of us going forward for doing almost all kind of investigation, where extracting data without chip-offs by a radically new way will be the need of the hour. So this was on the technology front. I thought I will also discuss about some of the things which people at times ignore. As a forensic scientist, as a law enforcement agencies, we know what are our rights. We have tools, technology, and infrastructure which we can buy and use, but we need to also be responsible. Many times I've seen people misusing things. That's where personal and private data discussions are coming into picture, that we need to make sure that what we don't know we should not do. We should not misuse the data which we are extracting for anything other than the purpose we have extracted that data. We should share the best practices. Let's say if I have done an investigation which is one of its kind, I should find out, document it, and share among community. One way is to publish research papers, other way is to write articles. So we need to share, because this fast changing technological world requires that every time I have a new case, I just cannot reinvent the wheel. If somebody has investigated that kind of device with that kind of problem statement already, the documentation and the sharing of best practice will make my life easy and can speed up the overall forensic investigation for the country and the world. So we need to share our best practices. Okay, so this I will skip. This is again something new which is happening and which I think will gain more grounds. Till now, we were only developing technological solutions. We were not considering how human brain works, how criminals are thinking, how law enforcement people are thinking, and how technological impacts human brain evolution. So psychology, as well as the impact of technology on human brain, if that can be studied and incorporated while solving the crimes and developing the solution, it will not only develop lightweight, very effective solution, it will also make sure that we are finding out the core human brain thinking and technological impact on the brain, and that can be used to develop radically new solutions. So not only think about technology, but also think about evolution of the brain, how I think, what human brain will assume. It's like it's like uh, if you see a fan which is on, you can't see blades, but if you see through the mobile phone camera in a video mode, you can see the blades. So there are two different aspects, right? Similarly, so because human brain will always assume that fan, when it is moving, the blades can't be seen, but technology can make it happen. So understanding how human brain thinks, how technology impacts human brain, can help us develop better solutions. So we need to ask ourselves that what we need to solve, keeping in mind some of the things which I have discussed. Understand that we need to solve impactful problems, otherwise it will not be used. Our solutions has to be in the line which are making overall things better, overall things faster, and it is considering whether the technology is going to get obsolete or not. If I'm developing a solution for a feature phone that is going to disappear soon, so I need to make sure that I am developing solutions for the technology which is which has just come or which is about to come. If I'm developing a solution for an older technology, it will go away. For example, CDs and DVDs, right? Nobody uses them anymore. So most of half of us will still be having a laptop which is having a CD and DVD drive, but we don't use it. Last time, I don't know whether you have used this 1 year back or 2 year back. Very rarely somebody uses it. So technological changes are so fast that we are having a laptop which is having a CD and DVD drive, but we are not using it. Similarly, we should not put our energy to solving a digital forensic research problem which is going to be obsolete soon. So because development takes time, and we need to make sure that we keep a track of how technology is changing and align our research to the upcoming new technologies. And you can get all these information from newspaper, right? If you see a fraud being reported in newspaper and social media and in community multiple times, that means it is a high impact problem. So something which is not coming every day in newspaper or in media or news might not be a high impact problem, only sometimes it is happening. So validate a problem which you are trying to work, whether it is being reported in real world or not. That can help you validate your correctness of your problem. uh, I think I'll restrict here, and then you can read it. This is a famous quote which I every time use, and if you try to read it, I'll give you a minute to read it. It will then help us summarize. So here basically, this talks about how human brain works. Human brain works completely differently. It's like once you know how to drive car, you don't follow instruction, it automatically happens. Humans are motor trained, and once trained, they automatically do it, and that can be used to exploit by criminals. For example, forever we used to install a software and used to say next, 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 next. So now what happens is sometimes criminals give you a you're installing something, and there is an option which probably can install malicious thing on your computer, and you're so used to say yes or next that you say yes. So then there are multiple more examples which could be there, like opaque window on a screen where you can't see the frame, but it is opaque frame, and you click and it automatically gives you the payload on your computer and install malicious software. All those things happen because we are not thinking how technology impacting our brain. and how human brain thinks and what it thinks about technology. And that is an important aspect while developing solutions. So a lot of creativity is being used by criminals. And similarly, digital forensic experts, researchers, law enforcement people can also use creativity to solve interesting problems, to develop new solutions which are effective and can solve challenges of digital forensic community. Some of the important resources, DFRWS, it gives you all the free papers of last 20 years. And this was the forum which started with the standardization of digital forensic field. So all the presentations, papers of last 20 years are freely available. It's a very good platform where you can publish if you're doing some original research work. We have IFIP 11.9, which does digital forensic conference every year. It also happens in India every alternate year. So 2020, it happened in India, and 2022 January again it will happen in India. And Slashdot is a forum where a lot of technological updates are shared that can help you understand what is the latest technological updates which are there and how that can be used in digital forensics. With this, I'll conclude. I will be happy if somebody would like to discuss and get guidance in terms of doing research. You can reach out to me. Depending on time availability, I'll try to answer and help you out to carry research and probably some internship opportunities for the students. I can consider depending on availability. And I can take up your questions. Rajesh, I think people can ask questions.
Thank you, sir. Your deliberation was quite informative. It has given a throughout idea of how digital forensic research started and what is the current progress in that particular field. So we have a few questions, or I can say lots of questions, but we'll try to have some of them. So the first question is, how artificial intelligence
Yes, how artificial intelligence.
how artificial intelligence is helpful in digital forensics?
So, as I told, artificial intelligence is being used by criminals to make real world, very, very realistic things, counterfeit and fake videos, photographs, and various other stuff. Because they are using artificial intelligence, the difference is, artificial intelligence will also have some things which has not been stitched well because of the inherent deficiency of information in data, because artificial intelligence is completely relying on the data it has been given, and that data will never be perfect. So you need to understand how to apply in artificial intelligence and machine learning and pattern recognition by identifying right set of parameters to identify that non-perfectness, the inability to stitching together, and the noise which is there. And same artificial intelligence can be used to develop solutions to detect artificially generated data and the videos and the audios.
So the next question is, why not Indian government is banning dark webnet or dark web, as there are lots of crime tending through those websites. So why not Indian government is banning dark web?
So I will answer in the personal capacity this question. See, banning anything will only make it move from one place to another place, right? So even if you put complete big amount of workforce and keep banning, identifying and banning, people will, because in digital world replication is just the click of mouse. I can have new domain name, I can have a new address, and I can move everything there. I can have hundreds and thousands of copies. So banning probably would not be easy as well as the right way of going about it. Rather than investigating, finding out the root cause, finding out the source itself, finding out the person behind it, and then taking action would be the right way to move forward.
So the next question is how to differentiate between original and cloned hard disk.
Original and
Cloned hard disk.
uh, so see, thing is, so this depends on the context, right? It is, if you are asking me that you went for a raid and somebody replaced a hard disk there, that you need to find out, versus I have made an image of a hard disk. And that's where, in the presentation I also discuss about copy and the original. Copy and the original will depend on various other factors, for example timestamps, for example whether that technology was available at that point of time or not, and so on. So first is we need to know the complete context of the question, and then we need to know what all we are investigating, and then rely upon timestamps, rely upon technological enhancements in terms of whether the technology was available initially or not, and so on. So this is a very open-ended question. Specific question can only be answered.
Yeah. So the next question is, how can we draw information from the softwares used for hacking?
So whenever, any software will have a signature, right? The way it works, the way it uses the names, the nomenclature, and so on. So whenever somebody is using a set of softwares, you will have to find out signature of those softwares in terms of what kind of nomenclature they are using, what kind of places in the RAM they are occupying, what is their behavior. So it's basically static and dynamic information of the software while it is there doing its stuff. Most of the time can be fingerprinted, identified, and uniquely understood, and that is where you can identify that.
So the next question is, how to deal with password, pattern, or finger protected devices.
So that's it. That is an open area of research. That's what I told. Multiple people are trying from a various angles. As I told you, PDP-3 protocol is something which is being used to exploit and directly reach to data. Then there are certain tools, commercial tools, which can bypass up to an extent. Then what you can do is you have to understand and study how a particular hardware has been locked. For example, a particular Samsung phone, you want to understand how to unlock, you need to now go to the original documentation, which at times up to an extent is made available by the manufacturers, to understand what are the dependencies and how that can be exploited. It is a time consuming process, not a foolproof process, but in most cases, if you are adamant to break or bypass the pin and pattern of a particular device, if you put enough amount of energy, chances of success are 80 to 90%.
So the next question is, are the digital forensics and multimedia forensics different or the same? And what are the differences and similarity between them?
So it is a part of digital forensics. All these are the subset of digital forensics. The difference is forensic science works to the commonality is that forensic science works on the principle of Locard's principle. Every contact leaves a trace. Similarly, when I'm talking about a multimedia forensics, multimedia devices are leaving their fingerprints in terms of defects of the sensors of multimedia processing devices onto the final product. So a sensor which is not working fine, out of that, let's say 10 megapixel or 20 megapixel sensor which is there on a video or a imaging device, some few sensors will be dead at a particular location, and that will come into the final audio and video, which is not visible and available to be found out by the naked eyes, but you can process it and always find out a specific pattern which is unique to a device. So I will say it is a subset, and it works on the similar principle as Locard's principle, and which is relevant for all kind of digital forensic investigation.
Okay, so the next question is, how data center work to investigate the cybercrime? Can evidence be changed in database?
So again, Locard's principle says that any activity you do, same will also have evidences of that activity. So if I'm tampering or planting evidences, there will be evidences for planting and tampering of evidences. Only thing is, it depends on your capabilities and skills and tools, whether you can find out those or not.
So the next question is, cybercrime against women and children are increasing. What kind of modus operandis these hackers are using?
It's a very wide question. See, crime against women and children were always there, and probably are increasing because of reach of technology, as well as wide audience who are participating in these kind of crimes, and because mobile phones, cameras, and videos are of good quality, very cheap cost, and data cost is also very less, and it can be used to, circulate all these kind of stuff. That's where it is increasing. Again, more research opportunities are also there for solving these kind of crimes. There are a lot of solutions which are there to tackle these kind of frauds already, and I encourage other people to take a few more research problem in this area.
So the next question is, how can we track back a proxy chain irrespective of ISP, which is being used by a cyber attacker for IP bouncing and hiding themselves around the globe?
Again, there is no generic answer to these kind of questions, because it depends who tried to attack you, whether it's a no voice person or a experienced state actor, what kind of tools they use, what kind of help you are having available from ISPs and intermediaries. Again, the simplest answer which I can give is, if you are really committed to solve particular thing, it will take time, it will take a lot of resources, but you can most of the time identify a lot of information, up to 80 to 90%.
Sir, we have lots of questions. So what we can do that I'll just write all those questions. We'll send back to you. You can just mail me answer of all those things and we'll put in the group. So it was a quite informative session. And thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation, irrespective of your busy schedule. We are very thankful from eForensics 2020 team to you, sir. So for participants, we have already linked feedback. We have already sent feedback link to YouTube or in this Zoom chat. So you please fill the feedback and send to us. The certificate will be issued within a week time, and all information will be updated on the Telegram channel which we have created for this purpose. Our next session on this webinar series will be on 23rd of this month. So we'll update you the information on the Telegram group. So please, if you have not joined that group, you join it. So thank you. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. And you can reach out to me in case there is any query. I'll try to answer. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all the participants and panelists. Thank you.